Hi, and welcome to the third lesson in my series on the playing of Willie Johnson, the guy that played on Howlin' Wolf's Sun record recordings in the 1950s. For this third lesson, I'm trying to come up with a good way to teach this, and what I want to start showing you are some of the single string runs that Willie Johnson used in his solos and also as fills. And rather than show you note for note a bunch of these fills, I'm just going to explain his basic style to you. And then I have some tabs with a bunch of sample Willie Johnson type licks that I'll make available. You can email me and I'll send them to you, PDFs. And I'll see if I can post them. I don't know if I can post them on my YouTube channel. But basically, the Willie Johnson style, he plays primarily in the first position blues box. So G major, make a G chord, and this is where a lot of Wolf's songs were, in the key of G, and he plays mainly on the following notes: 6, 5, 3 on the first string, 6, 5, 3 on the second string, 5, 3 on the third string. Although you will hear him use the 6 and the third, not like that, but he'll use it. I'll show you in a couple minutes. 5 and 3 on the fourth string, 5 and 3 on the fifth string. And he doesn't go much on the sixth string. You don't hear him when he's playing his fills and stuff. Usually he goes as far as the fifth fret of the fifth string. And that would be the 5 chord when he wraps up a verse or solo. So some typical Willie Johnson type licks. Let me just show you some of the ideas that I'm talking about. And those are just, that's the kind of thing you would hear. That's not from any specific tune. But he's playing all that in that blues box, first position blues box. He doesn't stray far from that. And as we mentioned in the chord lessons, what he does do is throw in chords in between his runs. But when he's playing a solo, almost exclusively in this area. Now some of the things he'll do, some of the tricks. One trick is he'll use this third a lot. And he'll either use it to start out a lick or to wrap it up. So there's a couple examples. Or he might do something like that, where he ends on that note. So that's one thing. You'll hear him use that a lot. There's a double stop, which we'll get to in a minute. So you hear that. Another thing he does a lot is goes these descending runs from the 6, 5, 3 on the first string, where he'll do this. So I'm going 6, 5, 3 on the first string, 6, 5, 3 on the second string, 5th fret of the third string, and then that little lick from the 3rd fret to the 4th fret on the 3rd string, and then wind up on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. You'll hear that kind of lick quite a bit. One variation he'll do is he'll do like a quick hammer-on pull-off type thing, where he smears it a little bit. Like that. So it's still 6, 5, 3, but I'm picking real fast from the 6 and I'm hammering on with my ring finger on the 5. And then I slow down. Something along those lines, something like that. Now, in his single string playing, when he plays in that first position blues box, he's not just playing single string runs. He'll mix in all kinds of cool stuff, double stops and things like that, which we'll get to in a minute. But as far as single string runs go, a lot of times he'll use these bends on the G. And so we're bending the G string, the 3rd string, with my first finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, 2nd finger on the 4th fret, 3rd finger on the 5th fret. Then I'll throw in the single strings. Double stop, bends, we'll get to those in a minute. But the G string is essential to the Willie Johnson song. And he'll use this in a lot of different ways. So if you listen to his recordings with Howlin' Wolf, you'll hear that. That kind of thing. Some other ideas we'll get to here in just a little bit, but for the most part, his single string run are in that area. Now, one thing he does a lot is a kind of a turnaround lick. I'll show you this one note for note where he does something like this. When he wraps up a verse of a solo or a fill at the end of a vocal verse. And this one, that's a pretty standard blues lick, but Willie Johnson used this quite a bit. So what I'm doing is I'm going from the 3rd fret of the 3rd string to the 4th fret. Then I'm getting the 3rd fret at the 2nd, or the 1st and 2nd string, 2nd then 1st string. Just kind of dragging my pick down. And then 6, 5, 3. Then the 5th fret of the 3rd string, 3rd fret, 5th fret of the 4th fret, 5th fret of the 4th string, 3rd fret of the 4th string, 5th fret of the 5th string, which is our D. Sometimes he'll end it with a chord. Whoops, I missed the chord. Throw in a D, that would be a D7. A little too much distortion, but that's the idea. So basically, the Willie Johnson style, the foundation of it is in that first position, blues box. Now when he plays slower tunes, it's a lot of the same thing. So let's move way down here on the neck, up here on the neck to the key of D. And there's a tune, it's called like The Wolf Is At Your Door, or They Call Me the Howlin' Wolf, and he does these single string runs. Something like that. Plays his slow tunes in that same blues box position, in this case the key of D. Now one real cool lick that I threw in there, which I'll show you because you got to learn this one, is this sort of turnaround phrase. You hear that in a lot of the early Wolf stuff. So if I'm playing in D, starting on the 10th fret of the 3rd string, and I'm going to hammer on to the 11th fret, and then to the 10th fret of the 2nd string, and then go to the 12th fret of the 3rd string. Then I'm going to go from the 10th to the 12th fret of the 2nd string to the 10th fret of the 1st string, and then wind up back on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. Then I wrap it up with this D 9th chord, which is my 2nd position 9th chord, and I'm moving it from the 13th fret to the 12th fret. That's my 2nd finger to get the D. Whoops, that would be that'd be A. Like that. So that whole lick again. That's a classic Willie Johnson type thing. But the basic lesson here is that when he plays his solos, whether it's a fast, up-tempo swing tune, like Looky Here Baby, or Highwayman, or something like that, or he plays a slow song, The Wolf Is At Your Door, any of those, then he's going to be playing basically in the first position blues box. Now, in the next lesson, we're going to start taking a look at his double stops and some of his signature licks, bends, and things like that that take that first position blues box and make it very interesting.